The sound of something shattering snapped through the tiny apartment like a gunshot. A glass slipped from Ella Marin's trembling fingers and burst on the tile floor. She didn't even look down at it. Her eyes were locked on the red final notice crumpled in her other hand. $42,000. Rental arrears. Medical bills. Interest stacked on interest. Her breath hitched chest tight. She pressed both palms to the counter, trying to steady herself. This was the moment she had feared for months. A loud knock rattled the door. She flinched. Not today. Please, not today. She wiped her face quickly and opened it. Her landlord, Mrs. Rowe, stood there with crossed arms and a pinched expression that said sympathy had officially run out. Ella, Connie. I've given you every extension I can. I need the payment by Friday. Otherwise, I have no choice. Ella forced a nod even though she felt the floor tilting beneath her. I understand. When the door closed, she sagged against it, sliding down to the floor. She whispered, Please God, just one break. Just one. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something nudged her to pick up. Miss Marin, a calm male voice asked. This is Mr. Grant's office. He would like to see you today. Urgently. Her heart lurched. Silas Grant. Billionaire. CEO of Grant Tech. One of the most influential men in the country. And her late father's former business partner. Why would he want to see her? I can't afford transportation to his side of the city. She whispered before she could stop herself. We've already sent a car for you. The assistant replied gently. It's waiting downstairs. Her pulse hammered as she grabbed her coat, smoothed her hair, and hurried outside. A sleek black SUV idled by the curb, the driver stepping out to open the door for her. She'd never ridden in anything so clean, so quiet, so expensive. Her stomach knotted tighter with every passing mile. When the car pulled up in front of Grant Tower, a building so tall it looked like it scraped pieces of the sky, she swallowed hard. The lobby alone could have eaten her apartment 10 times over. Glass, marble, gold accents. People in tailored suits moving with purpose. She was escorted up to the 55th floor. And there he was. Silas Grant stood by the window, tall, broad-shouldered, and devastatingly handsome in a charcoal suit. His dark hair swept back, jaw sharp, expression taut with something that looked strangely like vulnerability. When he turned toward her, his voice was low but steady. Ella. She nodded back, unsure. Mr. Grant. He motioned for her to sit. She perched on the edge of the chair as if she might break it. He sat across from her, hands clasped. I know you're wondering why you're here, he began softly. She nodded again. Silas inhaled deeply, almost bracing himself. I've been searching for someone. Someone I can trust. His gaze locked onto hers, intense but never cold. I want to become a father, Ella. And I can't. His voice faltered for the first time. I can't do it the traditional way. Her breath caught. She didn't move. There are medical reasons, he continued quietly. Ones I don't talk about publicly. And I don't want just anyone involved. I need someone kind. Grounded. Good. And your father always said you had the kindest heart he'd ever met. Emotion stung her eyes. Then he said the words that froze her completely. Ella. I want to ask if you would consider helping me have a child. Through surrogacy. Fully medical. Fully professional. No intimacy. No pressure. His voice softened further. Just choice. She stared, mouth parted. I'll cover all medical expenses, he added. You will have complete legal protection. A private doctor. Best care. And, he hesitated before finishing. I'll pay off every dollar of your debt. Her heartbeat roared in her ears. Her throat closed. She shook her head slowly. Why me? Because you're good, he said simply. And good people are rare. Her eyes burned. And what if I say no? Then the car takes you home and this conversation never happened, Silas replied gently. Your life stays yours. No repercussions. Ella pressed her hands together to stop them from shaking. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything today. Just think about it. He stood slowly. But I will add one thing, Ella. His voice lowered, almost pained. I don't want a woman who sees dollar signs. I want someone who actually cares that a child is coming into the world. Someone who won't treat this like a transaction. Her lips parted in shock. But I barely know you. A slow, almost sad smile crossed his face. Then maybe we should change that. Before she could respond, her stomach growled loudly. Mortifyingly loudly. She slapped a hand over it, face burning. Silas blinked, then his expression softened further. When was the last time you ate? She swallowed. Yesterday. He exhaled sharply, not out of annoyance, but out of concern so deep she felt it vibrate through the room. Come with me, he said firmly. I where? To lunch. His tone left no room for argument. You're not leaving this building until you actually eat. She wanted to protest, but her body betrayed her, weak with hunger. She finally nodded. He walked beside her, matching her pace like he didn't want to overwhelm her. When they reached the private dining room on the upper floor, the staff straightened instantly. Silas nodded to them, then held Ella's chair before she sat. She blinked rapidly. No one had held a chair for her. Maybe ever. As they waited for the food, she finally whispered, Silas, why are you being so kind to me? He looked at her for a long moment. Something unspoken flickered in his eyes. Because you remind me of someone, he said quietly. Someone I failed. She didn't understand the meaning, but the sadness in his voice hit her like a wave. A server arrived with fresh bread. She reached for one piece timidly, then froze as her fingers brushed Silas's by accident. A tiny spark shot through her chest. He felt it too. She saw the way his breath hitched for half a second. The micro-shift in his posture. The flicker in his eyes. He pulled his hand back gently. Sorry. No, it's okay, she whispered. Silas watched her for a moment longer, then looked away, clearing his throat. Like he was afraid of the warmth spreading between them. As she ate, he studied her quietly, concern, admiration, something deeper all tangled behind his gaze. When she finished, he said softly, Ella, I know this is a lot, but if you help me, I'll protect you, and I'll make sure your life changes forever. Her pulse quickened. I need time. You'll have it, he promised. Take all the time you need. But as she met his eyes again, she felt something shifting inside her. Something terrifying and beautiful at the same time. Something that felt like the very beginning of fate. Ella walked out of Grant Tower with her mind spinning like a storm she couldn't outrun. The sun felt too bright, the city too loud, every sound sharp around her. She sat in the waiting SUV, gripping her coat in both hands. A baby. A billionaire. Her debt erased. And a man whose eyes seemed to hold more truth than he allowed himself to speak. It didn't feel real. Back home, she curled up on her couch and replayed every word. The offer. The vulnerability. The strange, quiet warmth beneath his controlled voice. The accidental brush of hands that still tingled on her skin. It terrified her. And yet a part of her, a part she didn't want to admit existed, felt drawn to him. Like something inside him reached out to something inside her. As night settled in, she stood by the window, chewing her lip. What am I supposed to do? Her phone buzzed. A message from Silas. No pressure. Just checking if you made it home safely. Her chest tightened. She typed back slowly. Yes. Thank you. A moment later. Eat something tonight. Please. She smiled, small but real. The man cared more in a few hours than most people had in her entire life. She texted him back. I will. She didn't expect a reply, but one came almost instantly. Good. Sleep well, Ella. She stared at his message long after putting the phone down. The next morning, she woke to a knock at her door. Confused, she opened it to find a delivery man carrying 3 giant bags. From a Mr. Grant, he said. Inside were fresh groceries. Protein, fruit, vegetables, bread. Enough to last her weeks. A note sat on top. No one makes decisions well on an empty stomach. Silas. Her throat tightened. She pressed the note to her chest. That same afternoon, her landlord called again, voice tense. Ella, Friday is 2 days away. I need a yes or no. Ella felt the pressure crush her lungs. She couldn't wait any longer. She typed out a message to Silas. Can we talk? He responded in less than 30 seconds. My office. 1 hour. Her hands shook as she got dressed. When she arrived at the 55th floor, he was already waiting. Not by his desk, by the door, like he'd been pacing. His eyes softened the moment he saw her. Ella, are you okay? She nodded, even though she wasn't. Can we sit? She asked. Of course. They sat across from each other again, but the energy felt heavier this time. Emotional. Raw. I've thought about your offer, she whispered. And I need to ask something. Silas leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Anything. Why do you want a child so badly? Her voice trembled. Not the public answer. The real one. For a long moment he said nothing. His jaw flexed. His throat moved. And when he finally spoke, his voice was low, rough around the edges. My mother died thinking my life was empty. Ella froze. Silas continued quietly. She always told me that money is loud, but love is quiet. And I never understood her until she was gone. He exhaled shakily. She begged me not to grow old alone. Not to repeat my father's mistake. And I promised her I would build something real one day. Ella's heart twisted. But then, he added, eyes flickering away, I found out that any relationship I form, it comes with tests, risks, legal complications I can't ignore. Doctors said the safest path is surrogacy. It avoids heartbreak. It avoids me choosing the wrong person. Ella whispered, You're not choosing wrong with me. His eyes snapped to hers so fast she felt it like a spark in her chest. She swallowed. I'll do it. Silas inhaled sharply, stunned. Ella. But, she said softly, I need one thing from you. Anything. No walls, she whispered. If we're doing this, I need honesty. No secrets. No pretending you don't feel what you feel. His breath caught. His eyes softened, turning slow and warm. I can promise you honesty, he said quietly. But feelings, are you sure you want those involved? She didn't answer. She couldn't. Instead, she looked down at her trembling hands. Silas stood suddenly and moved to kneel in front of her. She gasped as he gently reached for her hands, holding them in his large, steady grip. Ella, he said softly, I swear I will protect you. I swear I will respect you. And I swear I will make this as gentle and safe as possible. Her eyes stung. He added, voice threaded with emotion. You're not just helping me. You're saving me. She whispered. And you're saving me right back. Something warm flashed in his gaze. Something deeper than gratitude. Something dangerously close to affection. He rose slowly and sat beside her this time, not across from her. Their shoulders nearly touched. Are you sure? He asked again. She nodded, tears slipping free. Yes. Silas's jaw tightened with emotion. He reached into his desk and handed her a folder. Then I'll erase the debt today. Instantly. You won't have to wait until the procedure even begins. Her breath hitched. Silas. No, he said, shaking his head. I don't want you making this choice out of desperation. I want you making it because you feel safe. Ella's chest broke open at those words. He slid the folder into her hands like it was sacred. Everything in your life gets lighter today. When she opened it, she saw documents signed, sealed, official. Her entire balance cleared. Her eyes blurred. I don't know how to thank you. You don't, he whispered. Just don't run from me. She looked up sharply. Why would I run? Silas's voice dropped to something soft. Too soft. Because people like me scare people like you. Her heart pounded. Maybe you haven't met enough people like me. Their eyes locked. Silas swallowed hard, staring at her like he was fighting something inside himself. Ella. His voice trembled almost imperceptibly. You deserve more than a transaction. And you deserve more than loneliness, she said before she could stop herself. Silas blinked slowly. A muscle ticked in his jaw. Without thinking, he reached up and gently brushed a tear off her cheek with his thumb. Ella froze. His touch was warm, careful, reverent, too intimate, too dangerous. They both realized it at the same time. Silas pulled his hand back abruptly, eyes shutting tightly for a second. I'm sorry. No, she whispered. Don't apologize. He looked at her again, breathing harder now. This wasn't supposed to feel like this. she whispered. Then maybe it's meant to. Silas stood quickly, pacing once like a man trying to contain a wildfire inside his chest. Ella, if I cross certain lines, I won't be able to uncross them. She rose too, heart-pounding. Then stopped thinking about lines. He turned toward her slowly, eyes full of something raw and vulnerable. Stay for dinner, he said suddenly. Not business. Not negotiation. Just dinner. Silas. Please. Her heart flipped. She nodded. Okay. His shoulders eased slightly, like she had relieved a weight he'd been carrying for years. Thank you, he whispered. And Ella felt, deep in her soul, that dinner would change everything. Lucas didn't even think. He swept Ava into his arms. She gasped. Lucas, I can walk. You're trembling, he said, voice low but fierce. I'm not risking you fainting again. Her head rested against his chest as he carried her out of the ballroom. The cool night air hit her skin when they reached the garden. He gently set her down on a stone bench, touching her cheeks with the softest care. Ava, look at me. She did, and his heart nearly shattered. Tears clung to her lashes, not from shame, but exhaustion, pain, fear. I didn't want you to see me like that, she whispered. Like someone weak. Ava, he murmured, brushing a tear away. You walked into this building knowing half these people think they're better than you. You faced them anyway. That's not weakness. That's strength most billionaires will never have. She shook her head, voice unsteady. It still hurts. I know, he said. And I wish I could erase every hurt you've ever felt. Her breath caught because he meant it. Fully, painfully, completely. His hand cupped her jaw. Ava, tell me to stop if this is too much. But she didn't tell him to stop. She leaned in. Their lips met. Not desperate or rushed, but like two people finally admitting a truth they had been drowning in. But the moment broke when her phone buzzed. Ava flinched. Lucas pulled back, confused. Ava. She looked down at the screen. And went pale. It's the lender, she whispered. If I don't pay something today, they'll repossess the apartment. My mom, my little brother. Lucas's stomach clenched with protective fury. You shouldn't be dealing with this alone. I have to, she said. It's my responsibility. No, Lucas said firmly. You're under my responsibility now. She blinked. But, Ava, he said, kneeling in front of her so she had no choice but to meet his eyes. I made you a deal out of desperation. I was the one who approached you. I created this situation. So I'm going to fix it. He pulled out his phone. Lucas, no. But it was too late. A single phone call, and the debt was wiped clean. All of it. Done, he said calmly. Ava stared at him as if the earth had tilted. Why would you do that? The deal was that I give you a baby. That was the arrangement, not. He stepped closer. Ava, forget the deal. Her breath hitched. What? I don't want your child as payment. His voice cracked. I want a future with you. Ava's heart stopped. I want the baby because it's ours, not because it settles a debt. He swallowed. But only if you want that future too. She stared at him, stunned, overwhelmed, uncertain. Lucas. This is happening too fast. I know. He took her hands gently. And I'll go at your pace. Her lips trembled, emotions flooding her eyes. But for now, Lucas added softly, please let me protect you. She didn't answer with words. She stepped into his arms and held him tightly, burying her face in his chest. That was her answer. The next week was a whirlwind. Lucas made sure her family's bills were handled quietly, through anonymous donations, so Ava wouldn't feel bought. He invited her to stay at his estate temporarily for safety. Every day, they grew closer. One evening, she found him in the kitchen attempting to cook pasta, failing miserably. Sauce splattered on his shirt. Lucas, what are you doing? She laughed. Trying to impress you, he confessed, cheeks red. It's not working, is it? It is, she whispered. More than you know. He froze at her tone. His eyes softened. Ava, can I ask you something? She nodded. Do you still want the baby deal? She inhaled sharply, then shook her head. No. He looked devastated. Until she added softly, I don't want it to be a deal. If I have your child, I want it to be because we love each other. Not because I owe you anything. Lucas stared at her, stunned, then overwhelmed, then impossibly relieved. Ava, I've never loved anyone the way I love you. Her hands cupped his cheeks. Then show me, she whispered. And he kissed her, deeply, fully, with every emotion he'd tried to hide. Oh. But not everyone was happy. When word began spreading that Lucas had been seen with a poor nobody, the company board panicked. They summoned him to an emergency meeting. The moment he entered the boardroom, the air went ice cold. Lucas, the chairman said with stiff disapproval. The woman you've been seen with, she will ruin your reputation. She will not, Lucas said flatly. You intend to marry her? Another asked with disbelief. Lucas's jaw tightened. He didn't hesitate. Yes. The room exploded with outrage. You cannot marry someone beneath you. You'll destroy the luxury brand. She's nothing. Those words detonated something inside him. Last warning, Lucas growled, stepping forward, hands braced on the table. No one, not a single person in this company, gets to call the woman I love nothing. The room fell silent. But the chairman smirked. This will destroy your vote of confidence. Lucas grinned coldly. Then I'll destroy the board. Gasps. He placed a legal file on the table. I've been buying out all minority shares the past year. His voice was calm, lethal. I now own 71% of the company. The board froze. And Lucas delivered the killing blow. If anyone disrespects Ava again, you're out. Immediately. He turned and walked out, leaving the board in stunned silence. When he arrived home, Ava was in the living room, anxiously wringing her hands. What happened? Your assistant said the board called you in. Lucas crossed the room in 3 strides and took her face in his hands. I chose you, he whispered. Over the company. Over everything. Her breath faltered. Lucas. I mean it, he said. You are my future. And if the world burns because of it, I'll build a new one for us. Tears spilled silently down her cheeks. Lucas, I don't deserve. He pressed a finger to her lips. Yes, you do. She threw her arms around him, sobbing into his shoulder. He held her as if she were the most precious thing on earth. And maybe she was. A few months later, Ava sat on the bathroom floor, hands shaking, staring at the pregnancy test. Positive. Lucas found her minutes later, eyes wide and terrified. Ava? What's wrong? She held out the test. He blinked. Then his knees buckled. But not in fear. In awe. You're pregnant. She nodded, tears streaming. Lucas, are you upset? He laughed, choked, then grabbed her face. Ava, you just gave me the greatest gift of my life. She burst into tears, collapsing into his arms. I'm scared, she whispered. I'll be with you every second, he murmured. Both of you. Always. As he kissed her forehead, his voice broke. I love you, Ava. And I love our baby. She smiled through her tears. I love you too, Lucas. They held each other, trembling, laughing, crying. 2 broken souls who somehow found a future together. A real one. Not a deal. Not a transaction. Not an arrangement. Love. Pure. Messy. Unplanned. Perfect. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to Story Realm TV for more billionaire romance, emotional drama, and gripping storytelling. Like, share, and turn on notifications. Your support keeps these stories alive.